Welcome to the White Gold Corporation presentation. My name is Shawn Ryan, and here's my forward-looking statement. And the idea is that I do make a few of these, so we got this in there as a cautionary note. The White Gold, it's a very unique opportunity, and that's what's kind of interesting about this company. We're in the Dawson District area. We have 24, 25 different projects with over 1 million acres of ground that we're covering. We actually have two deposits in it. We have the Golden Saddle and the Arc, which is about 1.5 million ounces. And then we have the VG deposit, which is about 230,000 ounces. So our experienced management team, I've been prospecting that district for the last 25 years. And Terry Brace, our new VP, he's got over 40 years experience and from discoveries to right to mine building. So he was a very good asset to put into this mix. And he's been working with us since last February. We have the Power One team. They're based out of Toronto, and they manage the financing. And the idea is that when we need new money from the exploration world, those are the guys that help us get it. And then we have strategic partners such as Agnico and Kinross at 17.1%. And then Eric Sprott jumped in this spring with our financing. So we have some good partners in the background. That's what's kind of, so it's a well-rounded company that way. And as you see here, all the claims in orange is what we have from Dawson City to the casino area. Like it's over 100 miles that we're covering of ground. And the idea is that we have various stages of projects. And so we have from the early stages, numerous projects that we do soils, ground geophysics, prospecting, geology work. And then if we have some success on the soil sampling program or from the geology world, then we put it in the next stage, give it some more money, some more budgets. And we follow that up with either trenching or more detailed soils or GT probing or RAB drilling. And then if she has some legs and she's still going, the idea is then we move it into the diamond drill stage, into the more advanced stages. So we try to run this blend of systematic projects so that we could have some new ones coming up through the grapevine for next year. And what we are seeing here is this road system, this dash black and white line. That's the road that the resource gateway that the government's planning to dump in about $120 million to create a haul grade road. We have a bunch of roads already existing, but the idea is that if we could, they were putting this infrastructure for basically the coffee project and to whatever else. And how that helps us is if we actually make any discoveries close to this road system, now we have a way to haul to a mine if it's not big enough. So here's our conceptual model of Golden Saddle. And as you can see, here's Golden Saddle here. And then here's the Arc. And then when we look at a plan map, here it is, they're right next to each other. And here's our resource numbers. So it's roughly around 1.5 million between both of them. And it's still open to expansion at depth. And so that might be done one day here. Here's the VG, and that's a deposit, and that's 11 kilometers to the north of the Golden Saddle. It's pretty well on the same structure, and it's a mirror image of the Golden Saddle. As ore-wise, it's running around 3 grams, and it's a twin from a metallurgic network anyways. It's a twin to the Golden Saddle. So it'll be a nice added bonus once the deposit ever gets up and running for the white. So here's our 2020 exploration program. And this is kind of what we've done here is we had $4 million budget. Like last year was around 8 or 9, or well, I think it might've been 11. So the idea is that we kept it down a little bit lower this year, mostly for the COVID, because we didn't want to get into too much hot water and something happened. So we did a small diamond drill program, 1,500 meters up on the white property here on this Ryan Surprise. And that was with around 6 holes. And then we did a 9-hole diamond drill program on the Titan over here. And that was based on last year's discovery of 72 grams over 6 meters. And then we came in with 20 plus RAB holes. And that was mostly on this JP Ross property, following up on some of our trenching this summer and some of our soils and work from last year. And then we did an extensive like a can dig trenching program on the regional work. Well, these were some of our bigger holes and can digs. And we did up to did a little over 14,000 soils across the district and 780 kilometers of ground mag VLF. So the idea was, so it was a nice blend, not too taxing, but it gave us enough budget to go and hunt some nice new targets. Here's our Ryan Surprise, 2 kilometers over from the Golden Saddle, and it's on its own unique mineralized trend. And that's kind of what I'm pointing out. Here's the Golden Saddle and here's the Arc. And this is their kind of like, you know, that's the soil that we're seeing on top. But there's a whole soil trend here that's going for 6 kilometers by about a kilometer wide corridor with numerous, like from the Ulis Ridge to Minneapolis, that's on trend, and then Teachers a little bit further up. And most of the time we were ignoring this over the last, basically it's been ignored for the last 10 years almost, since the Kinross days or Underworld, because Kinross didn't tap into it. They only did 1 hole, and that's what we're following up on the Ryan Surprise. So this is a new belt. I call it new, it's an old belt, but it's now a new target that we're focusing in on. And the reason is because of the grades that we're starting to pick. So when we actually look at a plan map, this is where they drilled. That was the 2011 Kinross drill hole. And they had some nice 6.3 grams over 6.5 meters. So in 2018, we decided to drop a couple of holes just to follow up on that, to see what was going on. Because reality is, this is blind, and it's a blind target. So I'll show you on the next slide on the cross section. It's capped with amphibolites and ultramafics. So these 2 holes drilled to the south. And when the geos interpreted it this winter, they said, well, why don't we basically drill to the north? And so that's kind of what we've done here is we approached it and we came onto this and we drilled 6 holes from this different from this spot or from this area, and then drilled to the north to see how we hit. But we were pleasantly surprised, as Ryan's Surprise name explains to it or says it, but this is kind of the numbers we hit. 17.4 grams over 3.4 meters. So we had like 12.8 grams over 1 meter. And then you had this 9 grams over 1, and like we had 1.1 grams over 22 meters. There's 8 grams over 1.4, 10, almost 11 grams over 3.7. So, and then 8.6 over 12. These are very nice sections. And these 17, 18 holes are sitting right here. And as you can see, it's open to expanding in this direction. So this is what the cross section looks like. And the idea is that this is what I was telling you earlier. It's actually capped by an amphibolite peroxide. And this is the thrust fault. And these are the metaquartzites underneath. And this is the interpretation the geos put in. It's kind of a broad zone. It's not one tight zone like you see here. There's some high grade because you're getting numerous hits along it. So this is what, when we threw it into the leapfrog and ran it through, this is what it looks like. It looks like it could be spinning out like flat line here underneath the amphibolite cap and steeply plunging. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. This thing is open to expanding. And what I really, really like about this, it was kind of a blind target. And this is the next phase of the white, is that we're going to start getting more confidence on this property and actually putting some more just blind drilling just to hit the structure. And hence you start finding these new zones that you didn't really expect to come up. Here's our Titan property. We worked this, made the discovery of 72 grams over 6 meters late last fall in one of our last basically holes we put in the season. And we think this is a buried porphyry at depth just because of its signature. And then we got copper and moly kind of coming out of this in the soils. So the idea is that we went in this year in the spring, put in 1 RC hole to twin it in June, and then put these RAB holes in blue to cover some of these magnetic features, waited for some of the assays, and then came back and started diamond drilling and in the holes in purple. So the idea is we drilled about 9 holes there for about 1,500 meters of diamond drilling. These assays are still coming, and hopefully we'll put out a press release in a couple of weeks, but this is a very unique target, and we're leaning towards what we probably hit last year, and with more news to come, as we do believe this is probably a skarn component of a buried porphyry. So here's our new VP, Terry Brace, a great guy to work with, holding up a nice magnetite, his mag pen with a big piece of magnetite. And there it is in some of the trenches from last year, massive magnetite. And there it is on in the soils. And here it is on some of the rocks they cut up. And those are some of the spectacular grades coming out, magnetite and the VG, all kind of in the same area. Here's our frenzy, JP Ross, just 10 kilometers over from the Titan. And the idea is that what I was trying to show here is, here's our soil anomaly from last year. And the idea is that these were based on a bunch of little mini grids. But this is where the dredge basically did the high grade. This is where the 51 to 54 YCGC was dredging this. So Henderson Creek was known for placer gold. And the irony is actually, Jack London's cabin was somewhere around in here. He was actually sitting close to the high grade placer. He must have just missed it with a shaft. This is what the country looks like, nice rounded country. But the best thing about this is all these roads are going through to these placer mines. And here we are. This is not rocket science. We're sitting in the hills off these roads. We could drive to half of these targets that is sitting in the hills above all this placer gold. So what this showing you is it's not one big mother source that produces the placer. It looks like from, at least on Henderson, it's multiple sources all contributing to this placer gold. So, but it just shows you how virgin the country is. Here's a beautiful, structural interpretation done by Matthias at Fault Rocks. He'll be giving a talk at the Geoscience this year. You got to listen to this guy. This guy does magic with mag and LiDAR. And here it is. Here's our Titan. Here's our X-Men. And look at how these things are 20 some kilometers apart. Here's this big blowout soil anomaly above Henderson. And it actually shows you why. And here's a little detailed, and you can see all this. So this is stage fright and sabotage. You can see they're related to different structures, the frenzy. So this was a really kind of a aha breakthrough in our exploration. And let's just say this guy's doing a lot of interpretation for us now. So this is showing some of the trenching that we did in the area. We put about 29 trenches up in the hills above the Henderson Creek. And then we did some GT probing, and this one came back at the end of the season, just as it was starting to freeze up. The last hit on the line was 24 grams. So we'll be back there next year right away. And here you can see some of our trenching highlights, 8.8 grams over 2.5 meters and 3.4 grams over 1.5 meters and 15 grams over almost a meter. So it's kind of given us an idea, and that's what was nice about this. We're able to go in and get a better understanding because we got a little bit deeper in the profile. So here's our next project that everybody loves is the Betty project that we haven't been there for a few years, but just to show you we're in elephant country. Here's Casino. We're in the shadows of Casino here. And that one's got almost 15 million ounces of indicated and reserves. Here's the Coffee. Newmont's calling it 2.1, but Kamenek had it, it was 4.5 almost. So there's still the sulfide component at depth. Here's our white. So you can see the Betty's in the right district. Here it is, just to show you from a mag point of view. There's the Coffee. Here's our Sugar, big soil anomaly that blew out. And what I'm trying to show is these magnetic components is showing you why it's there. Here's Casino right by these big structures. And here's the Betty with the big Dip Creek fault coming up. And so it's not surprising we kind of get this kind of stuff. Here's our Betty from where we worked. And the idea is that some detailed soils. These are some hits from a few years ago. This 41 meters at 2.6, maybe a down dip. But here's our holes last year, from 2018, 50 meters, a little over a gram. And that was in this section, which is north of the granites. The granites are here. So the idea is we're going to get this thing tuned up for next year for potentially, hopefully a 10 or 12 hole diamond drill program. So the red boxes are where we did mag VLF, and the green boxes where we did detailed soils. So the Bonanza, just going to show you the Bonanza, 6 million ounces of placer. No known source ever seen, except for the stuff up in the Klondike. Here's the mag, big structure, every mag system, structure. Here's the big gravity at this map, showing the big gravity oval shape with the mag cutting through. So we're working the hills right behind this dredge. So we're taking where this guy left off. So it should be interesting what happens here. And the last project is this Nolan 60 mile. It's just over west of town. So 500,000 ounces of placer came from this golden line here, but the target that we worked was the heart, and here it is here, and it's basically 2 kilometers wide by about, well, 4 by 2. And we went and did detailed soils in here, and we did some ground geophysics, and we're getting ready to hit this one with trenching and probing next year, and hopefully it's a diamond drill project by 2022. So that was pretty well the regional, or at least the White Gold Corp overview for 2020. Thank you.